Hello, everyone. We're back for part 2 of Marty Rosenblatt's Your Subconscious Mind Precognition exercise using remote viewing ARV and 1 ARV protocol part 2. Just a short overview. If you are listening to this as we are recording, it will be housed probably on Marty's website as well as mine, Aesthetic Impact. Just a short introduction. Mr. Rosenblatt, who is sharing so kindly with us his knowledge, expertise, and time, began his technical career working for Shock Hydrodynamics, a computational physics company. He has formed California Research and Technology, which was acquired by Titan in 1987. He served as Vice President of Titan Research and Technology, managing a group of 20 scientists who developed and applied sophisticated computer programs for analyzing high-energy problems of interest to the Department of Defense and NASA, such as hypervelocity impact and nuclear weapons effects. Marty was a founder, CEO, and senior staff scientist of Precognition Corporation and its internet subsidiary called Emanate. Those were acquired by an internet company in 1996, and Marty is now president of Physics Intuition Applications Corporation and is the writer-editor of the online magazine Connections Through Time, and offers intuitive investing and applied intuition workshops teaching associative remote viewing for predicting future event outcomes, which today we're using a baseball game as an event that is scheduled that we know will happen, and we could meet before and after. And we're using the information and learning that we have today, thanks again to Marty, to learn some interesting new concepts about precognition and future events and entanglement. And with that, hello, Marty, and I will turn the presentation over to you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I'm the presenter. Let me now, yes, synchronize for all. Okay, hello, everybody.
And the camera.
Oh, the camera.
Down at the bottom, there's a send video.
I don't have anything that says video.
Okay, up at the top there is a little
view. Where is the video?
If you click on people, there's a little icon up at the top that opens all the panels.
The people one?
For me, it opens everything and closes everything.
When I was playing before, I didn't have the video. Minimize, restore layout.
Magic, then you turned it on all by yourself because you were all of a sudden just there.
Am I there now?
Not yet.
Okay. So we did it before, and I didn't do anything special.
Yeah, I noticed that. Way down at the bottom, there's a little camera that says video and expand panel. Is the word.
I know you have it. I lost it somehow.
Okay.
There's got to be a way of getting it. Send to all.
If you expand the entire panel that's got the chat and the question answers recorder, and then way down at the bottom there's a little blue bar that says video and a camera.
See, all I have is chat, Q&A, and then PowerPoint notes. Somehow it says PowerPoint notes. And then under that, there's nothing. And when I hit restore layout, those three get big.
Okay.
Maybe they don't need to see me. You want them to see me.
I would like for them to see you.
Okay, well, there should be a way from up above. Let's see.
And I keep
participants, communicate.
Restore panel. I'm restoring. I'm closing and opening just to see if there's anything else I can cue you with.
Share my event window, presenter documents, edit, file. I'm sorry, I might be missing something, but I just lost. I had it at one time, and then when I was trying to figure out how to use it, I lost it. Bad Marty. Let's see. see, I'm eliminating. Okay, now I've got
Okay.
nothing. Maybe that's good. Maybe I can start over again.
Try it again.
Select panel, restore panels. That restored only the old ones. Restore layout, just the old ones. Participants, question and answer, PowerPoint notes. I don't know why I have these PowerPoint notes because I don't care about that. I think I should just start.
Okay.
Unless you can give me, I mean, I'm happy to do whatever you suggest, but.
No, it's okay. I will keep, because I have everything fully expanded, and I can see a bar under Q&A that says video.
Yeah, I know, and for me it doesn't. So I'm seeing something. I'm clicking restore layout, so you'd think that would do it, right?
Right.
But under Q&A, I have PowerPoint notes. So, okay, everybody, you do not need to look at me. Trust me. So let's begin the presentation, okay? Now, the primary skill, just a little review, but first I have to tell you that you did do the first part. You made a prediction, there is an outcome, and I'll be telling you about that shortly if you don't already know. But this is now we're about to enter the third phase, which is the feedback and the entangled truth phase. But I want to lead up to that and get both your intellect and your sub kind of tuned in the same way for the especially for the newbies. But the more you hear this, the more it begins to get integrated within you. Now, the primary skill here, which is really a very general one, and everything you're learning here will help you with all other aspects of your life, and that is, in fact, the intent. This is much more general than just associative remote viewing, because the skill is to entangle information between specific past and future events in your conscious life. So we're talking about your conscious being. And, you know, that's a pretty valuable skill to have. Now, we usually do it with memory. Somebody comes up, you know, think about the house you grew up in as a kid, and something will come to mind immediately. But what we're now learning is the same thing in terms of the future. How do you put yourself to specific future events? So the general approach, and you've already done the first part of this, is you do a remote viewing session where your intention now, this is purposeful, your intention is to connect up with the feedback target entangled truth. And that's the session we will do after I go through this introduction. And
hey, Marty?
Yeah?
You haven't brought up any slides or your backdrop yet, correct?
I have.
You have.
Oh, I know what okay, wait.
Okay, give me a... Okay.
Wait, I know what I didn't do. Hold on.
Okay,
I know what
all right, just a minute.
I didn't share my desktop.
Okay.
Oh, no,
yeah,
I'm not presenter. You have to make me presenter again.
I know. I was trying to see if I could turn the camera back on because the camera's been shut off.
Okay, so no, you have to make me presenter.
Yeah, coming back at you. I was hoping.
Yeah.
All right. There you go. There's your desktop. Good.
Okay. So now, so now you're seeing the hands?
Yes.
Okay. And you see remote view?
Yes.
And you see my arrow? When I move my arrow? Okay, very
your
good.
Cursor.
Okay, good. So, this is the part you've done, plus you did the analysis and the judging, the intellectual part. But this entanglement, the entanglement through time, is not intellectual. And this is the skill, and some of you did it and did it quite well, I might add. Now, you're demonstrating it for yourself, which is the best way to get it. But science has taken on this issue. And science has already shown statistically that precognition, in which the answer is known to no one until a future time, appears to work quite well. This is a conclusion of Jessica Utz. She's a statistician. She did a study of not even all the info. There was a lot more she didn't have access to, but it was clear to her that precognition is real. Now, you have to understand this really does occur quite often. People have their precognitive dreams. People know when a person's about to call. Many people have these kinds of experiences, but it doesn't occur all the time, and it doesn't occur on purpose. Now, we have plenty of skeptics out there, like this guy here, that will just say no matter what it is, it's a coincidence because there's no model or whatever. But I want you in the mode of getting the best mindset for this, which in fact I happen to believe is true, is since we live in linear time, you can think of precognition occurring all the time at the subconscious level. Another information is coming to you from the future basically all the time, but it doesn't come to the conscious level unless you want it to in a purposeful fashion. But the information is out there. It's almost like it's just there waiting for you to access it. And that just seems to be the reality. Now, what we're about to do is going to use a sheet like this, and we're now doing the feedback entangled truth session. And you should have a separate sheet of paper. And I now am going to tell you what happened, so you will now know how to fill out the top part. All of this is intellectual stuff. We actually start the ET session when we go down below and write the coordinate. So right now, you know, we're still doing intellectual stuff, which the sub, of course, is listening to, but we haven't started the ET session, so I want to make sure you understand that. Now, the actual score was 1 run. Who actually won the game, Catherine? The Yankees won the game, but the score was 0-1. Since what we took on for over-under was over-under 7.5, it was actually under. So those of you who had 804,264 and had a confidence ranking, you see, you would get, let me show, I'm going to show them an email. Let me show you. The first, now this is from Catherine.
No, that would have been for
the other one, right? We don't have an email.
Don't have the email for the
oh,
804.
you do, but a different coordinate. Okay, fair enough.
For the 804, but that could be gotten from the stats page since we did submit that one.
Correct, but I want, and I will do that as well. Let me first show them this. This is a typical email which you get back. Catherine was a participant. Her, okay, you just put this here for information. But what,
yeah, you didn't get
what you get back is an email like this, which would have your coordinate on it, and it will have what was submitted in terms of your confidence ranking. And if you were on the underside and you put in your email, you will have gotten an email similar to this with the picture, because you were on the underside and that's what happened. That's the truth. So right now your intellect and everything is getting the truth. You'd have a picture, a lot of people print it out, attach it to their transcript, attach it to their ET transcript, further entangle all of this. Now, if you were on the over side, if you had coordinate 429,398, that puts you on the over side. You would have gotten an email like this. This, in fact, was Catherine's, and it would have just said, thank you for 1ARVing. You would not see the other picture. All you would see is this. Okay? So I hope that's clear. But you do get an email back in the public project which basically tells you whether or not you're a photo site or a thank you, and it also tells you whether you got a hit, the H here, or a miss. So your email then gives you enough information on your sheet here to circle or write here HPM, photo site thank you. Most people I'm finding, in fact I'm going to change this form eventually, most people just seem to circle it. I noticed that at the workshop in Las Vegas, and that is the easiest thing to do. So like Teresa, based on what you were saying, and Paco, I believe, in fact all we had were unders. Two of you gave very good descriptions. You would have gotten back a hit. So on your sheet right now, you can put your name, you can put the date and time, and you can write hit because you don't have this sheet in front of you. But you should write ET, you got a hit, circle it, and you are seeing a photo site, circle it. One person, in fact, it might have been you, Tom, if you're still here, I think you actually ranked it as a 2, and then you would get a miss, and it would say that on the email. So what to put here comes from your email. Okay, let me open up. Okay, so now I see someone said we're setting up a time loop. That's one way of looking at it. I mean, this handshake is connecting up with 2 times at once. You're basically getting information from a future time is one way of looking at it, or you're connected in 2 times at once. Now, this here, I gave you this one before. This is where you get the details of the public protocol, but on that page, there's this link, which in fact contains these sheets, so you can print them out. When I did this in Vegas, I actually made them back to back. So, you know, first you do the front part, which is the remote viewing session, and then you do the back part. First, you do the judging, and you put the confidence ranking in here. And on the front part, you know whether you're over or under. Again, when you go through and get your coordinate and you click through, it'll tell you whether you're over and under. And then based on your confidence ranking, you can put your predicted side. If you get a high CR score greater than 4, your predicted side is the same as your remote viewing session. Just like here, those of you that did under and got a high score, your predicted side was under, and you know that when you're AJing because of the CR score. If your CR score is low, then you flip it because you're actually on the other side. Now that's part of the 1ARV protocol. We actually trust your sub. We want you to trust your sub. If you see a photo site, we assume you're going to give a good description. And that's your mindset. Your mindset is that you can do this. And so if you don't get a good description, hey, you had an open session. You were the lucky ones. And you saw a thank you. Now, even today, we had some hits, we had some misses, and we need to talk a little bit about success. The fact that you're doing this, as far as I'm concerned, makes you a success. You're right at the forefront of consciousness research, learning, and that makes you a success. We tend to define quantitatively a success rate, which is the number of hits divided by the number of hits plus misses. passes are basically ignored. I personally think passes are really a good thing because we do everything we can to avoid misses. But success means quantitatively having a very high success rate. Typically over long periods of time we're seeing people in the 60s, they hit like over a month type of period, 25 predictions, not counting passes. We get people up to 80% occasionally, but over the long haul, we're between 60 and 70% seems to be where people are now. And I'm doing my best to also learn and teach people how to get up higher. I'm looking to go to the next increment between 70 and 80%. So this resolution to this success, this personal success, is more important than any one other thing. Abraham Lincoln said that. This is really kind of the essence of how to think of misses, success and failure, hits and misses. We think of them as opposites, but they're really not. They're companions, the hero and the sidekick. So that's really, the statement has been made many times. You probably heard it, but it's 100% appropriate here, and that is there's more to learn, more personal growth can be gained at when you get a miss by just looking at it and seeing potentially, you know, what was going on. And part of that is intellectual, and a good part of that in terms of the learning is with your subconscious. And that's what we'll be doing with the Entangled Truth session. Notice you're going in and knowing whether you had a hit or a miss or a pass. Now, the toughest thing about success is that you've got to keep on being a success. In my opinion, one of the reasons when people start doing really, really well, and we have seen this so many times, I've seen people get 19 hits in a row, and then they start falling off. You know, it's like, I've mastered this, I understand it, and whoop, for some reason, it falls apart. It's all psychological. The subconscious is all about the psyche. It's all about the psychological. And this is one key aspect of it, which is a personal thing which comes up. So, and then I love this one too. I couldn't wait for success, so I went ahead without it. You newbies, that's what you're doing, and it's wonderful. My philosophy is very simple. Learn from your hits and really be happy. And if you get a miss, there's something to really learn there, maybe even more. But you know what? The way you learn, it's partially intellectual. You don't have to go to complicated books with 95,000 lessons. You look inside yourself. You look and you kind of ask your sub. So, also, how wonderful to be alive and to be able to do this and to have the level of consciousness that you know you're conscious and you can explore your own consciousness. Okay. We're still primarily intellectual. I feel it's important to talk about this and for me to give you as much guidance as I can. Now, at one level, this looks like it's complicated. At another, just sort of get it. Just be open to getting this. You're going to be doing only one of these things, like if you got a hit or a pass and you've got a photo site, you're going to be doing this. But I have to go through all the combinations. So, and in each of these combinations, what I want to do is basically give you suggestions, mindset suggestions on how I best think to use this Entangled Truth session. You now have the truth in front of you. You're doing feedback. How can you maximize this entangled handshake? And these are my suggestions. There is one very high level kind of truth about all of this, which I want to share with you, and that is that the viewer is in charge. So I'm giving these suggestions to you. How to carry them out, how to do them in detail is your responsibility. You know, sometimes that's a bummer. Don't you wish I could tell you exactly how to do it and be 100% successful at doing precognition? Well, you want to know something? It doesn't work that way. You and your subconscious need to build up that good, positive working relationship. But when you get a hit, okay, or a pass, and you're seeing the photo site, so that happened to some of you here, you remember the photo site. I guess for those of you, I could put that picture on, but again, this is mostly about learning. But you will have the photo site in front of you, and then, since you did exactly the right thing, you got a hit, now a pass, you got some information, but not quite enough that the judge gave you a 4, but it gave you a 3. That's a pass, but it says there was some information that matched. It wasn't off at another site or doing something else that your subconscious wanted you to do. Then you entangle away. You make that handshake. You, during your session, you add more information, but from the subconscious level. You go to that site and get more information. You might have had some visuals of part of it. Well, visualize more of it if you're a visual person. Some people hear sound. Some people get colors. They'll get more colors. Draw a better sketch. This is the way of entangling it. Get very involved with the photo site. And, you know, you do have your past RV session with you. You can entangle with that. You can get involved with that. So what you want to do is entangle away. Now, this is what we call the win side, because this was what happened. You were under. Okay, so actualize side, that's another word we use. So this was the photo site side. That's what the PS means. Now this is a CR of 3, which is the pass, or 4, 5, 6, or 7. If you happen to get a thank you, now you can get a hit and get a thank you. I don't think that happened this time, but that can happen. That happens, you'll have an open session. That happens if you get a photo site back, okay, and your ranking was 1, 2, well, and it can happen with the 3 as well, because notice you get the thank you back if it would have been over. And some of you, now no one in this case happened to be on the over side, at least that discussed it with us. But if you had been on the over side and you described something very different than what was called the indicator photo site, the one that you judged against, you would have gotten a low score. And you could have gotten a hit with a 1 or 2. So that happens. What do you do in that case? Well, hey, you accept this with gratitude. You thank your sub. Hey, I had this great open session. I went someplace else. And now, during your Entangled Truth session, I love this. One of the people we were working with this said this. Anything you would like to add to this, dear? In other words, your sub gave you this information. Go into your ET session. Again, you're going to be in a position of witnessing and reporting. And let your sub give you any more on this subject. The person with the house actually got some more information concerning the work that he might want to do. Remember, at that point in time, he understood that his description was from his sub and it concerned his house. Sometimes you might not, but you just listen. Is there any other meaning going on? You might develop your own cue for the thank you side. There's all kinds of things to be explored here because you have the open session and you're building up a relationship directly with your subconscious. So this is what you do if you're on the hit or pass side. Now, what about if you get a miss? You know, we're not in our ET session. You had your emotions, all of that was going on. But at this point in time, how about asking yourself for guidance about strengthening and enhancing entanglement? Because if you got a miss and yet you were on the side where you see a photo site, you know that you weren't entangling strong enough, or you would have gotten a higher score. Because in this case, you had a CR of 1 or 2. That's the only way you can see a photo site and get a miss. So you didn't do a strong enough entangling. Okay? So under that condition, and remember, only one of these are going to occur at a time, so it's not this complicated at all. But if this is your circumstance, then you simply go in and ask for guidance about strengthening the entanglements so that next time you'll get a higher entanglement and the judge will in fact give you a higher score because this is part of your learning. And I say, whatever I did last time wasn't right. Come on, sub, give me some more guidance. What can I do better? And you know what? Your sub is going to give you stuff. Now, if you're on the thank you side and got a miss, what this means is you got a high score, and yet you're not seeing a photo. What happened? Well, there are a few things. First of all, do again, accept with gratitude, and say thank you to your sub. Again, this was strictly an open session. Nothing particular was put in terms of the intention for this session, so it was an open session. And you want to be open for more information, and in particular, you want to ask, why did I peek at the picture? The only time that picture was ever exposed to consciousness associated with this coordinate is when the judging was going on. Now, I want to say more about that because this becomes somewhat controversial. When they first started doing associative remote viewing, this goes back to like the early 1970s, they would always say you should never have the remote viewer be a judge because, look, he now sees the picture and can therefore use it as a way of not jumping all the way to the future, but only getting access to it at the judging time. And of course, you're not supposed to do that. You're always going to your entangled truth session, which we're about to do. And so that was the going in position. About, oh, I know, it's probably 5 or 6 years ago now, several of us, and it might have been a guy named Greg K. I can never pronounce his last name, but he might have been the first one to put it out publicly, started doing what's called self-judging. That's what we did here. We judged these ourselves. And you know what he found? Same level of results. And now there have been other experiments done by others, same level of results. Both ways. Even when you take a judge who is totally independent, that has no other involvement with the session other than to take a transcript from somebody else who he doesn't even necessarily know and looks at the picture, they will give them high scores because it's a good match, appropriately so. It's a good match. And yet, it'll be wrong. Your subconscious, it turns out it's one of those things where it just proves again that your subconscious has access to all information. And for some reason, it wanted to describe that picture. You peeked at the judging session, even though you'd never see a picture when you do independent judging. So it turns out whether or not you use an independent judge or you do self-judging, your subconscious chose to peak with a high score. Now occasionally, and we saw an example of that, the judging might be off. You know, someone says it's a 4, someone else says it's a 3. Notice that puts you over on this side if it was a 3 versus a 4. Often, not here, because when you get a thank you do not want to go back and look at the correct photo site. But when you do see the photo site, in either of these two cases, I really encourage you to talk to your judge. If it's an independent judge, because you might disagree with what they gave you, because you will know that. Everything here is open. Okay, so that's a description of all 4 of these. And remember, you're only doing one of them at a time. And the open target, just historically, as I presented this, is the new feature that is new to a lot of people. And I want to emphasize that just like in your remote viewing session, the cue is describe your target. I say describe your photo site or open target. And if it's an open target, even though you don't know which one it is, here you do. Here you know. Again, think of this whole thing, and you are now about to enter here. The target is known to be open. If it were an open target for you, you know that. Okay? And this open target, and notice I have this little communication not only between here but in the future. By doing this protocol, you're setting up a style that will work for you in the future. And you're communicating to your sub, and your sub is beginning to learn what it is you want from it, from your sub. Now, if the target is open, this entangled truth session itself is the target. So what we're about to do shortly is the target. The ET session itself is an open session. Okay? It's wide open. You're just listening to your sub. There's nothing specific going on. Maybe at the level of teach me something, but there's certainly no specific photo site. You know, it may choose to go where it'd like to go on vacation with you. Who knows what it's going to want to do. It'll give you something. But the sub will entangle information it wants to share with you. So it is the open session. And now you know that. If you got a hit, then what happened earlier, you might in fact include. Since you got a hit, you already started getting some information. If you got a miss, just listen and see what your sub has to tell you. You are here basically agreeing, your conscious mind is agreeing to act as the witness, listening to your sub, and then report during the ET session. Basically, that's what it means when we say describe your target. Okay, so we'll go into it now. You can't see me because it isn't working, but I'm shaking my arms around a little bit, just loosening up. Let's get ready to do the session. I'll again do a cool down, but ultimately the cool down you'll do yourself, though I'm thinking of getting a little tape that I'll put online. But everyone, not everyone, but a lot of people develop their own personal cool down, and it's just important to do that. So what you want to do is get rid of as much of the physical world thoughts and you know, now they would be considered almost interruptions. as you can. You start taking some deep breaths. I'm going to be giving you 7 minutes, but again, this concept of the viewer is in charge. A lot of people finish their remote viewing sessions and their ET sessions in 3, 4, 5 minutes, and that's fine. I'm just doing 7 now, just to make sure that at least some of you will have the time you need. Others take more time, but you'll get 7 minutes now. So breathe deeply. Set your intention to listen to your sub and just report what you get. Getting quiet. Very quiet. I'm going to count backwards from 4 and then give you the cue. Another deep breath. Describe your photo site. Oh, I'm sorry. Another deep breath. 4, 3, 2, 1. Describe your photo site or open target. Okay, begin winding down. You might get one more input from your sub. And then write end or EOS for end of session on the bottom of your sheet of paper, your ET sheet of paper. Okay. So you're back with me, and can I have the chat window open or turn on your? Can I turn on? Let me see. Can I turn on everybody's mics?
Everybody should be on.
Okay, in fact, yeah, I see everybody on except Tom has an X next to him. He might not have. Oh, yeah, his is on too. Okay, your sub knows. You did it. Congratulations, especially to the newbies to 1ARV. In linear time, this is the completion. The ET session is in linear time thought. The subconscious, of course, doesn't think in linear time, but now your intellect, and that's about all I can talk to, at least with my words, but the sub understands and gets all this stuff too. But in linear time, you did it. Congratulations. This is the end of the prediction in terms of the beginning of where the truth comes from. That's the session you just finished. And the objective here is to keep improving your ability to entangle truth from the so-called future. I mean, the information of past, present, future, eternity is here all the time. And this circle without a boundary, the physical, spiritual universe with everything in it all the time, they're all there. All the nows are there from you, from everybody else, from any consciousness anywhere else in the universe. It's all out there, and you have access to it. We can ignore events, but we can increase entanglements between events. For example, the remote viewing session, the feedback session. That is what you just did at whatever level of expertise you're at right now. But this is a skill, and it's a skill which can be improved. And the improvement requires a really nice, friendly, close relationship between your consciousness, moment-to-moment consciousness, and your subconscious. That's kind of cool. So that's what you just did. You created this handshake. And we saw examples, well, we didn't quite get to see them because I couldn't see the transcripts, but the descriptions of 2 of the transcripts were quite excellent. Clearly deserve to be hits. So that was precognition demonstrated right there. Now I'd like to do, are there any questions, comments, anybody wants to discuss now? Because what I want to do is give you, I am a physicist, and I can't help it. I do want to try to understand this as best I can, and I do spend some time trying to do that. And what I want to go into now is how I feel this really does in fact work in a very non-technical fashion. But first,
Excuse me,
questions, comments?
Yeah, I'm afraid I don't understand what you did with that feedback session at all. I may not have been paying attention. Would you mind telling me what the intent of that session was?
To put out via your subconscious the entangled truth. Now, in your case, did you put a miss at the top?
No,
What did you put? Did you?
I wasn't following. I wasn't expecting to do something like that at all, so I didn't do anything.
We just did a session now. I don't think he expected to do a session during part 2.
Okay. Well, and Tom, I'm really glad you're sharing that, because maybe other people felt the same way. But this session now is the feedback session. And the idea is to describe your target. And if I remember correctly, in your case, you gave yourself on the 804-264 target a 2.
Yes.
Isn't that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So you got a miss. Okay. So the purpose of this target for you, you did see a photo site because you were on that side, and you got a miss. In this case, you're in this category.
Yes.
Okay? So you saw a photo site, but you didn't do the entanglement strong enough. The purpose of the session for you would have been to go down and ask your sub for guidance about strengthening and enhancing entanglements. And it might have told you, hey, I didn't get a good one this time because I'm in a webinar environment and I've been doing, because I know you well enough to know in your case you've been doing all kinds of other ARV where you might have other intentions during the feedback session. But here, when you get a miss, I no longer would urge you to try to do entanglement now. You didn't do it. You know you didn't do it. How do you know? Because you got a low CR. So now what you do is further the communication with your sub. How often do you get absolutely quiet and say, sub, give me some guidance, and then just listen? We don't do that very often. Some people do. Meditators sometimes go down and meditate with nothing, but sometimes they meditate with some general intent. Well, that's what this is. This is going down with an intent. What can I do to get even better at entangling? So that would be what I would really suggest, and that would have been what my suggestion would have been for you for that ET session. In fact, I recommend you take, 5 minutes and actually do one later. And you might, and
go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Well, I actually am not surprised that this photo site was a hit because, in my opinion, it was entirely a function of my judging, and I will explain that to you.
Okay.
My image was like I said, a sandwich, but it was a layered thing. And
right.
It really was a direct match to the boat in that photo site.
Oh.
I knew at the time it was, but the reason I only gave it a 2 was because that was a part of the photo site that was sort of far away, and in the background I didn't get any matches to anything else in the photo site. So that's really part of the judging question, isn't it? I only took like 1 or 2 minutes for my session, so I only got one image and wrote it down and ended it.
Right.
That's what I've been doing lately. So should I rate that highly, even though I missed most of what was in there, even because it was such a nice match to what one?
To the sandwich.
Really
well,
a good thing in the prototype.
Okay, well this is great, Tom, and I think there's a lot of learning going on, hopefully for everybody else as well, because this is one of the reasons you want to get multiple elements right to make it easy for the judge. What you just stated was one of the hard judge cases. What happens if you have a minimum of information, but that information is correct? What I do as a judge, and I'm not necessarily the ultimate answer here, I probably would have made that a pass with the words that you just used. In other words, I would like to have had a little more support. Hey, remote viewer, I would go back to the remote viewer and say, give me more information next time, please. Okay, and I would have given it as a pass. And our whole conversation here could come into you through a ET session. Notice we're doing the ET session intellectually. It would be very interesting to see what your subs take on this is, because I know you do self-judging. You're a believer in self-judging. And I'm totally supportive of that. And you might ask your sub, and your sub will probably tell you, take a little more time and get, you know, more than just one element back. Get 3 or 4, at least 2 or 3. Russ Stark always does 3. I know several people that always make 4 panels. They always get 4. Some people.
I used to always do 3 too, but that's a problem when you're doing horse racing because there's so many pictures to judge against. When you have 3 sketches, you can almost always find matches to.
That's right.
Pictures, so that's why I don't do that.
Yeah. But with one ARV now, there's only going to be 1. Yeah. So the judging is easier. Okay, so did that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay, good, good. Thank you. So yeah, so this is, that was your situation. Anybody else want to comment? They feel comfortable, uncomfortable?
Who has something?
Okay.
I would have had to consider myself in the thank you group and would have had a distinct miss because basically I was a little confused over what we were doing. I was on the overside, and somehow I got the idea that I was supposed to RV whatever the photosite for the overside was. And I apparently did that fairly well. But in the ET, my sub made it very clear to me that I had the wrong intention to start with.
Well, I like that your sub was talking to you. That's wonderful. Okay, were you on, I remember earlier there was some confusion on exactly which side you were on, but you were on the overside, and you saw that over picture, and you gave it a high score?
Yes.
Okay, and so you really do feel you described it during the judging session rather than kind of waiting until the feedback session. And hopefully that's what you learned this time, is that the entanglement is with the feedback entangled truth session. Correct?
No, I don't know. I can't differentiate between describing in the judging session and judging.
Right. I think that's where you are now. You're maybe a person that ought to try to get an independent judge. Do you have anybody that could independently judge for you? Someone that
negative. I've looked around for about 6 months for independent judges, and they don't have the time, or they have some pretty set opinions or prejudices.
Okay.
Stephen has his hand up. I don't know exactly why, but.
Okay, Stephen, are you volunteering to be his judge? I'm not hearing Stephen.
He's got a mic.
Can you hear me now?
Stephen?
Testing, testing.
Oh, we can hear you.
I hear you now.
Okay, yeah, I've got a question. I've done my session. I had to go early from the other session, from the part 1, but I've done a brief reviewing session. I got random structures in it. I don't know what to make of it.
Okay.
Stephen,
well,
this is your first experience, I think, isn't it?
Okay.
Yeah.
So
so,
I want to go back.
Yeah.
Stephen, we will get back to you. We have time. We'll talk to you in a minute. But wait, I want to finish. Who was I talking to before? That was
Paco.
Paco. Okay, Paco. I tell you what I'm going to do. I've got a comfortable sense of you. I will go and volunteer to be your judge for at least a few sessions, okay? And let's continue to be in contact for via email. And the next, we're going to be putting up a new public one of these. Catherine will probably put it up later today or tomorrow. And you'll do a session, and then I will get in. You will email me all you have to do is email me your coordinate, and then I will get in and do the judging, and you do not do the judging. And then you will do the ET session, and it will get emailed to you. Okay, so I'm going to act as your independent judge, because you're at the place now where you definitely need that. Okay?
Okay, that's great. Then what I do is to sign up for the public group and then establish contact with you via email.
And you'll do just a regular session like you did earlier with that coordinate, and then you'll pass on the coordinate to me. And you'll also have to either fax or scan an email or take a picture of an email, the transcript to me so that I can judge it. Right?
Sounds like a copy.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, very good. Now, Stephen, you're describing your remote.
He's new, Marty.
Okay, you were describing your new. What you did during your remote viewing session, or what you got during your entangled truth session?
I had to go, just as you were doing remote viewing. I had to leave early from part 1. In the UK, I had to go out for tea. But I did a brief session just now. I remote viewed just now. So I think I called and missed on the first session. I've done a brief remote viewing session for the second one you did.
Okay.
I didn't understand the instructions really, but I did it wrong.
But you did not do the first one. Is that true? Did you or did you not do a remote viewing session during part 1?
I did a quick one.
Okay.
There was a miss.
Okay, and what number? Okay, so which number was it? Do you have the transcript? It was a miss.
Yes, I did on paper. Yeah, I didn't do the coordinates.
You didn't write it down.
Okay, I don't. The instructions. I haven't got a transcript now.
Okay. Did you give it?
I predicted 10 runs.
Did you give your RV session a confidence ranking?
No.
Okay, well then I'm not even sure you got a miss. Stephen, I think we're going to have to talk separately, and I'm prepared to do that with you. But I don't really have enough information now to help you. But if you're interested in learning this more, we can get online very similar to this. I have something called Go to Meeting where we'll be able to talk, and I can go through this again, and we can have
well,
to
if
do
nothing else, could he tell us what he got again, Marty, so he could possibly come away from this feeling as if he had at least established sight contact or had described something appropriately? Can we review?
Okay, that's a good idea. Why don't you tell us again what did you draw on your sheet of paper? And what words did you do on your transcript?
I got colour red. I did a brief, I did 2 grams, water and land, wet. I got colour green. That's all I did.
Well, water and wet fits both.
And the biological had a red part of his athletic outfit.
In that one, yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, I'm not sure which one he was trying to. And if those were cranberries, they're red.
That's
It
right.
looks to me like cranberries floating in a bucket. It's just the analyst in me, you know.
No, I think that's right. Based on what you said, Stephen, I probably, again, I don't know exactly which picture it was because I don't know what coordinate you had, but it sounds like it, at worst, especially with all of this conversation, everything going on, was a pass. And you definitely got some elements. You definitely made what's called sight contact. So you made, wet and water, and again, depending on which picture it was, red and or green might fit. So that was pretty good. Generally, just as is with Tom, I would say you should go down and get more elements, just because this isn't quite enough. Though I must admit the water and wet was good for either one. So I do think, and thank you, Teresa, for raising that point in that context, because I do think you made sight contacts to you.
Okay, I got, if I'm allowed, can I ask Teresa a question?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Are you planning on bringing a remote viewer, teacher who can teach basic remote viewing? I've not done a basic class. I've been quoted for a one-to-one session. It's quite expensive.
Well,
and then it's not coming over here. Do you know of any remote viewer teachers coming to London or near London? So I'm in touch. I can get to London, but it seems that all remote viewers are in the north of the country.
I can talk to you later about that if you like.
Yeah, there are some in London. There are people who are near there.
And there are a couple people who can talk to you online and possibly teach you a basic class.
Yeah, and there is a lot of information, free information about the remote viewing part of it already out there. So we can send you links on that.
Yeah, I'll email you, and maybe you and I can I'll schedule a meeting with just you and I here in WebEx, since you know how to get in, and we can talk more, okay?
Yes.
Okay.
And are you going to put yesterday's session with Dominique on, because I lost sound in the middle of that and I had to go off to sort it out.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what, we'll have a little talk, just you and I, okay? I'll email you and we'll set it up.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, and let me go on now. You've done this. You've got a sense of purposefully doing precognition. How could that possibly happen? And this idea that consciousness is more fundamental than the physical world, I want to see if I can make that a little more real for you. This will help certainly your intellect, and it might even help the subconscious in a way, because I believe the subconscious does connect through to your conscious mind through something called microtubules. Now, this is an image of a nerve cell, okay? One of your 100 billion nerve cells in your body, okay? Those are just nerve cells. You are a very complex living entity, and inside one of your nerve cells, you have these microtubules, and you know, I've never seen anybody try to count them, but there are probably thousands of those too. You can see an artist's sketch of one here. Here's an actual picture of microtubules in a neuron. The ability to view stuff like this is just incredible, using electron microscopes and stuff like that. So these are the microtubules, and notice they're connected. But the thing about a microtubule, which is so marvelous, is it's hollowish, and it's very, very small. The size is so small, its diameter is so small, and the hollowness of it means that you can set up quantum mechanical waves in there. And quantum mechanical waves are going to be the entry into the world of pure consciousness, the world of the most fundamental, where all of this stuff exists. Now, quantum mechanics, and it actually took quite a while for it to get accepted. There were a lot of disbelievers, including Einstein, said it was incomplete. He accepted a lot of it, but he didn't believe all of it. And there's still probably going to be improvements sometimes in the future. But the basic concepts of quantum mechanics are no longer questioned by scientists who would scoff and wouldn't even talk about precognition with you, totally accept quantum mechanics as being real. Now, quantum mechanics has lots and lots of features which are totally non-intuitive. The one I want to focus on right now is called zero-point energy, and this is not debated. We used to think that out in what we would call empty space, there was nothing, that there was a meaningful idea of nothing, that you could get to a place of, say, absolute zero in temperature. In fact, that is, in terms of temperature world, what zero-point energy is. At a temperature of zero, there should be no energy around. There should be nothing. So this would be in places between galaxies, let's say, where we would not see anything. Quantum mechanics states, and has now been proven with experiments, that there is no such thing as nothing. There is no such thing as nothing. The Heisenberg uncertainty principle, which is one of the two key principles of quantum mechanics, states that there has to be a certain amount of uncertainty, very, very small numbers. None of this comes to play in anything close to our physical normal lives. This is at the level of the very, very small. So when you take a MRI and you do all kinds of things in our world now, it uses quantum mechanics all the time, but this zero-point energy idea is talking about not being able to have nothing for very, very small periods of time. And what happens in the real universe is in places where you think you have nothing, is you get spontaneous, it seems to come from nowhere, spontaneous particles and antiparticles which appear and then combine and form energy, and they disappear over infinitesimal kind of time frames, 10 to the minus 32 seconds, those kind of time frames, which are practically zero, but not zero. The very interesting thing about zero-point energy is that when they do the mathematics on it, and again, this is not debated among scientists any longer, is the amount of energy they get that at the 0-point level is enormous. It is equivalent to the energy in a nuclear bomb when it goes off. Very early time frame. So it is enormous. The equivalent that I can only give you to make this in our physical world might be pressure at the deepest ocean in our planet. The pressures down there are enormous. They would crush you if you were down there instantly from here. You couldn't handle that pressure. But yet there could be little fish, little plants that live down there because it's uniform and their body is at that pressure. And the little fish wags its tail and moves along. What matters is change in pressure. In the pressure example, and in the energy example, it's the same thing. What matters is the changes in energy. And we're living in a world where the changes in energy are actually relatively small compared to the 0-point energy. But that's the source of all energy. That's what keeps hydrogen atoms from collapsing. You ever wonder why these little electrons going around a proton, how they keep doing that? Well, you know what? They get their energy from 0-point energy. So even where there's mass, there's 0-point energy underneath it. So it is, in fact, any point in the universe you go to, including your own body, every point in your own body has a 0-point energy base, and that 0-point energy base is what I believe is the connection with consciousness. Because that spontaneous energy comes from the consciousness field. And you know, that's all I can tell you. And there's an interaction between it, between personal consciousness and the 0-point energy field. This is just an artist's conception of this 0-point energy. You know, none of us, you can't get down that small to get pictures. Now, consciousness entangles life through this 0-point energy is my hypothesis here. This isn't something that can be proven. It's an interpretation. Okay, this is my interpretation connecting quantum mechanics and life. And you know what this circle is. This connects everything. I want to give you one other example to make this idea of microtubules more real to you. This is a paramecium, okay, a one-celled critter, obviously alive, reproduced, been around for millions, billions of years. Right on the front of it are these things called cilia. If you take one of those cilia, a cilium, so this is a long one, and you cut it. So here's the cilium here coming out of the front of this paramecium. And notice, by the way, the paramecium doesn't even have a nervous system. Here's the DNA of the paramecium, the center of it, its nucleus, but no nervous system. But you take one of these ciliums and you cut that, and you take what's called a cross-section of that, and you see these little round things? There are 20 of them there, including 2 in the center. Those are microtubules. This is how this paramecium gets around, knows its universe. It is like connected to the rest of the physical universe through its microtubules, right there. And, of course, there are a lot of other functions. Without a nervous system. So it shows you how fundamental these are. Okay, now I want to show you one other thing. The pancreas, in a human pancreas. So here we have 6 cells. These are the DNA portion of 6 cells. So here's 1 cell, here's another cell, here's another cell over here. The blue things are the DNA. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 independent cells. And you know, our human body cells live and die and change and do all kinds of good things. I don't know how many of them you have, but I'm sure a lot. Okay, so there are the cells. What you see here as green, you see these green things, and you see how they go across and they connect cells? Those are microtubules. So all the cells in your body are connected with microtubules. The purple here, those are more structural. They don't have, as far as I can tell, the hollow nature of the microtubules, which allow you to get these quantum mechanical kind of waves going up and down the tubes and do the quantum mechanical connections, which I'm hypothesizing here. But they do cross cells. So you talk about entanglement, okay? Here you're seeing it in a very physical way at the most fundamental level in your body. In your body. And another very good way of cooling down is to cool down through your own body and get a sense of connecting with, through your subconscious, through this big blue consciousness field where everything is contained, by going down through your cells and then through all the microtubules. Because here you are. There is a model of life and quantum mechanics. Okay. How does that feel? Does that resonate with anybody, or is that crap? I mean, that is an overview of a connection with quantum mechanics, consciousness, and life. And physics is trying to take this on, working specifics of it, and what I've given you is really an overall interpretation. Okay, let me go on then. I'm now going to connect a viewpoint, which maybe this leads to, but it's certainly, I think, a beautiful viewpoint connecting you and the universe. So this is the universe. This is all that is. Everything consciousness touches. No boundary. Here you are. You have a boundary. And more, I am coming to believe and like the idea that one of the principal parts of this fuzzy boundary is the subconscious. And how marvelous that we can have an individual identity and yet be connected to everything through the subconscious. Now, there are other fuzzy parts of us for sure, but the subconscious is a big part of that. You can look at you and your subconscious. You're a pretty magnificent creature, but you still have your fuzzy boundary, and you're connected to the universe this way. And I believe you can have as much of the universe at your disposal, past, present, and future, eternity, as you're willing to allow. I mean, it's there, you're connected to it. There's only one all that is, but how much of that you let in, that's what this represents. Final quote, and this is from Skip Atwater, who is the head of the remote viewing unit in the Army during, like, I don't know, the 70s to 80s, I think, something like that time frame. Some say that we pass from spirit into the physical at birth, and conversely pass from the physical world into spirit at death. I say that we never pass from the spirit. I think getting involved in remote viewing just makes you spiritual. When you begin to see that we are, in fact, connected to virtually everything. I mean, that's what the evidence shows. Okay. We are done in terms of formal presentation. I encourage you all to continue this this journey. You know, it'll resonate with some of you. It won't resonate with others of you. But if it resonates with you, we have a public project out there. People have started private groups. I mean, there is a community. And you're welcome to email me. But if you go to this website, this will get you into this enough that you can contact the community. I guess it's one of the websites. It's so interesting. I'm so much into OneARV now, I don't talk as much about another website that goes way back. And let me give that one to you. That's just Marty. Here, I guess I can. Let me send this to you this way. It's Marty at p-i-a.com. Again, feel free to email me. I am very, very accessible. I just find this stuff, it just resonates with me so much, and I keep learning. Every time I give one of these, you have to understand I'm learning too. It's one of the reasons I give it. I give these workshops and presentations is we're all at the cutting edge. We're learning this and doing this together. Another place you can go is here. And I've got lots of information. I've got a online e-zine with a lot of information, so you can get more information. And there is God, I don't have the URL right here. Catherine, do you know how they can join the Precog 10 group? Is that, I just don't know. You know, if they want to stay involved in a group, I should have that. Email me if you're interested in joining an online group, and I will show you how to join what we call the Precog 10 group. And so that's how to stay involved in terms of going onward if in fact this resonates with you. Okay, questions, comments?
I'm trying to be very quiet here. I was amazed.
Paco is very pleased and satisfied.
Okay.
Yeah, Paco was talking after we finished up and turned off the recording from part 1, and he's said that he's happy. He's learned quite a bit.
Okay, great. Okay, Stephen's agreeing. Now, I know some of you...
Thanks a lot, Marty. I appreciate it. I learned something about that feedback session there. Also, I noticed, Teresa, that Nancy doesn't seem to have a microphone. Maybe if you give her a microphone, she'll say something. You can take mine away if you want.
Okay, and I'm sorry, who just said that I could take their mic away?
Tom.
Tom? All right.
Tom said that, yeah.
We'll do that. Thank you, Tom.
Okay.
And I will.
In fact, if any of you are interested in putting together groups of, if you can get 10 people together, I would be happy to do something like this again, and depending on your experience level, we can think of other ways of actually doing independent judging and all of that online. And there's just so much that we can do where the internet just permits new ways of exploring all of these, and I'm happy and always looking for other ways to do that sort of thing.
For Stephen. Stephen, when we email, I'll include Marty, only because when you asked if anyone was coming to London, there are CRV folks coming to London, or who do come to London, but I don't know about ARV. So my resource material and people are probably in CRV, which will get you started as beginning concept-wise and what's going on with this whole piece. And again, but if you need ARV, I'll include Marty in those emails and he can direct them.
Okay. No, if somebody wanted to sponsor the cost, I'd be happy to go to London, but otherwise, I don't have any plans now.
Right. And Nancy is, thank you. As I recall, I don't think she has mic capability. She's thanking you for a very informative Sunday.
Okay, well, and you're very welcome.
And Stephen has put out their CRV. So
yeah.
I can help him with that, and then it would be easier for him to understand ARV, I think, once he was in the door with the first basic concepts. So.
Yep.
Okay, well, it looks like 5:41, and I think we might be ending. If there are no more questions, Marty, if you have any last-minute things you'd like to share?
No.
You don't have to, just giving you the opportunity.
Yeah, no, I know. I appreciate it, and I have to tell you, I enjoy doing this and interacting, and I just encourage people to participate, and the public approach and going to this link is a link to all the information, and I will be improving it and updating it. It's kind of a dynamic thing. I'm sure it'll be quite different 6 months from now than it is now in terms of the material. But the basic approach is solidifying. So I thank you all for coming.
You're very welcome, and we thank you for taking the time to teach us.
Okay, good. You're welcome.
Okay. All right, well, as Marty would say, goodbye, everybody, and keep on ARVing.
There you go.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.